These are all my face brushes. Wait till you see all my eye brushes. So today I'm going to be going through all of my brushes, face and eye. This is just way too many brushes, and I tend to really gravitate towards specific brushes at this point, and also it's just so much easier to clean them more often instead of reaching for new brushes. So I really want to narrow this down to a bit more of a curated face brush collection, and I have done declutters before, but I have gotten a lot of brushes since then, whether purchased or sent in PR from different brands. For example, Cindy Grace brushes, I received all of those in PR. All the new Fantasy Cosmetica brushes I also received in PR. Ensley Cosmetics and Karla Cosmetics brushes I received in PR. And then also some of this, I think most of the Sigma face brushes. So let's just jump right into it. It's gonna be a longer video for sure. I'm just gonna grab in here, I think. Let me just move these up a bit so that we're only looking at like a couple brushes at a time. First up, this is a Fluoricist brush that they just sent in PR. I don't think I've ever used it. It feels really nice and soft, but the fact that I've had it for a while and I haven't used it is very telling, so I'm going to be decluttering that one. I need to figure out where I'm going to be putting all the brushes I'm decluttering. Next up is this Milani powder bronzer brush. I actually use this for setting because it's nice and dense, and it has a pretty flat dome, and this is what I like to set my face with if I'm not setting with this Tati Beauty powder puff, which I actually been predominantly using that and not brushes as much, but I love this one. This is a staple, and I will definitely be keeping this one. This is the ColourPop F30. I believe it came in a set, and I like to use this for cream blushes. However, there are other brushes I prefer to use that are from ColourPop actually. So, and this shape is just not like the perfect shape for blush application for me personally, so I will be decluttering this one as well. And then this brush is from Real Techniques. It is the Expert Face Brush. I remember this went like viral on TikTok a couple years ago. Same with this one, the 241 Seamless Complexion Brush. I don't remember the last time I used a brush to apply foundation. I really just use my sponge. That is my preferred way, so I feel like this is actually a nice blush brush. I'm going to keep this one aside. I'm going to test this one out. There's going to be like an in-between pile. I already can tell I'm definitely going to have some brushes that I'm going to like keep out. So for the next week as I'm putting on makeup and see if I should really declutter them. This one has a lot of random little hairs coming out like in the center, but I am going to declutter this one. I honestly don't remember if it was really that good as it got hyped up to be. This is a Cindy Grace brush. It doesn't have a name or label or number or anything like that. This seems to be like a setting powder kind of brush, and it is pretty flimsy, and it's just not really a shape that I reach for, so I think I might have used this like 2 times, so I'm going to declutter that one as well. Next up is this Clionadh Cosmetics Dragon Fruit Collection collaboration with Emily Violet Marie, the DF06. This one I did receive in PR, and I believe this is for their highlighters that also came out in this collection, so I'm going to be keeping this one. I do like that one. Next up is another Cindy Grace brush. Actually, this one looks almost the same. Okay, it's less pointy, I guess, but they look almost the same. It's also a little floofier. I'm going to declutter that one. Just not really something I gravitate towards. This is a What's Up Beauty R201, also sent in PR, and I will be keeping this one. I like to use this one for blush. It's really nice and small and floofy. Another Cindy Grace brush. Honestly, I'm not sure. I think this is probably for like concealer, maybe for contour or blush even. Probably a little too small for that, but I don't think I've ever used this one. Maybe potentially, but it's not memorable enough, so I will be decluttering that one. And then next up I have a couple of these brushes. Well, I have the whole set actually. They had this set on sale from Spectrum Brushes for, I want to say, like it was like 50% off plus 20% or something. Not that one. And so I bought the whole collection because I was very, very excited. This is the Spectrum and KJH collab. Honestly, I don't use a lot of them. So for example, these 2 brushes, I have some brushes that are in this shape that I just much prefer to keep. So I'm going to declutter this one. I don't remember if I've even used this one. I'm going to declutter that one. It doesn't really stand out. I do like these kinds of brushes for super, super liquid blush formula, so I will be keeping those. This brush is good for highlighter, but it is just a little bit too large, so this one's going to go as well. And this one looks like a paintbrush. I almost said delete, but I am decluttering that one. And then this one seems like it'll be really nice for like concealer and stuff. I'm going to keep this one around for like a test, see if I want to keep it or not. Next I have this brush, Immortals. I believe this was a gift with purchase from, I think it was either Chic Decent or Look Healthy store. Seems like a really nice brush. I haven't had a chance to try it yet, but I love this handle and the color so nice. So I'm going to put this one aside to try it out further. This is a highlighter brush from Wet n Wild P75. I do really like this for highlighter. I'm going to be keeping this one. This is a rougher kind of contour brush. I'm definitely keeping this one. This is the Phytosurgeon Soft Quill brush to be used with their bronzer and their highlighter that's really hard pressed. You really just like push it in there to pick up the product, and I will be keeping this one. Next up is this Artiste brush. I recently checked and they still make these, and I'm actually kind of really surprised because I haven't heard anyone talking about them, even though they were quite hyped up and like very popular at a certain point. I think it's been at least like 8 years or 9, almost 10 maybe since that has happened, but I do really enjoy this as a foundation brush. So I will definitely be keeping this one around because if I do apply foundation, it will be one of like 3 brushes that I will use, and this is definitely a brush I would use. I think it spreads foundation really nicely. However, it is such a pain to clean it, and that's partially a reason why I don't use it too often, because it is such a hassle to wash. This is a powder brush from Alter Ego. I don't remember. I think I got it in PR. I think I'm going to declutter this one. Next, I have this super floofy, really floofy brush from Lethal Cosmetics, the 100 powder brush. It kind of reminds me a little bit of the new Fantasy Cosmetica F04. I've used this once and was immediately like, no. There's something just between these two. I don't know if you'll be able to see, but when you shake this one, the bristles are just super flimsy, and I prefer when they're a little bit stiffer when I want to set my face with powder. So I'm actually going to be decluttering this one. It's just not a brush that I will use, but I will be keeping this one around. Another Fantasy Cosmetica brush. This is the F03. I've used this brush once so far, and I had very mixed kind of feelings on it, so I'm definitely putting it in the pile of to keep trying. I have another highlighter brush, M15 from Glossgods. This one was sent to me. It is just way too floofy for that, so I'm going to be decluttering that one. I have this foundation brush from Pat McGrath Labs. I'm going to declutter this one. I don't like it. It feels really cheap in terms of the bristles. This is a Glam Light eye brush that came in, I forget, it was one palette from a long time ago, and I love using this for concealer under my eyes, so I'm keeping this one. Another Spectrum and KJH brush, and I don't use this one. It is still clean from the last time I washed my brushes, so that is usually not a good sign. And then the Lethal Cosmetics 120 foundation brush. I think I've used this once and I wasn't too much of a fan of it, so actually I feel like it might be nice for contour and or bronzer. So I'm going to keep this one around just to try it just a little bit more before I declutter it or not. Next is this Makeup Geek brush. I believe it was an eyeshadow brush or a blending brush, but I like it for under eye concealer. However, I feel like I'm going to be keeping a lot of brushes that I prefer to use for concealer under my eyes. I've actually been using this little sponge with Look Healthy store when I was purchasing some C Beauty eyeshadow palettes and etc. And I love this for under eye concealer, so I might actually not be keeping that many under eye concealer brushes, but I feel like I have other ones that I would rather keep than this one, so I'm decluttering this one as well. Next up is this ColourPop F20 brush. I love this brush. I wish they sold this separately. It did come in a set. This is my favorite cream blush brush, so definitely keeping this one around. This is the Zoeva 222 Luxe All Over Shader, and this is way too large for my eyelids. I've actually had this. I've had this for almost 10 years now at this point, and I used to set my under eyes with this brush, but now I use this kind of puff. So I'm going to keep this one around, but I don't really use it too much, and it's also a little bit prickly at this point. It is a natural hair brush, so it has kind of broken off from washing, etc. But I think I'm going to keep this one around. Another Lethal Cosmetics 205 Angle Shading Brush. This one is too large to use on my eyes, so I like to use it for under eye concealer. I'm going to put this one aside right here, and once I get through the rest of the brushes, I'm just going to talk about all the under eye concealer brushes at the same time. Another Clionadh Cosmetics DF01 brushes. This one is from the Dragon Fruit collection, and I will be keeping this one. I love this one for highlighter. This is the Give Me Glow G2015. Is that when it came out? I'm not sure, but I use this for under eye concealer, and I honestly haven't really used it that much. I feel like there's some other brushes that I think spread concealer better than this one, so I'm going to be decluttering that one. And then I have the Jessup MUL08, and I feel like this is interesting. It's got a little bit of a slope. It's kind of like the Pat McGrath brush, but obviously a bit different, but it has the same kind of slopiness going on. So I think I'm going to keep this one around and just try it out a little bit more. That pile is getting a little too large. And then this is a Blend Bunny brush. I'm not sure if this was an eye brush. I think it was, but it is just too large for that, for my preference. But it has ended up being a highlighter brush. I actually think I'm going to, no, actually, you know what I use this for? I think I use this for under eye concealer. So I'm going to put that in that pile over here. Another Zoeva brush. This is the 126 Luxe Cheek Finish. I like this one. It's basically, it's actually almost the same size as the Refer brush, blush brush. Okay, it's definitely smaller and it's got a bit of a different shape. This one kind of slopes in here a little bit. This one's a little bit more flat at the top. I'm going to be keeping both of these. Another Sydney Grace brush. I believe this was an eye brush, but it was too large for my liking, so I used it as under eye concealer. There you go. In the pile you go. Another under eye concealer brush here. This one is from Rose and Ben Beauty, the C31 brush. Really great for under eye. Going in the pile. Another one. This is the Bella Beaute Bar brush. This is, I think you could use this to apply eyeshadow primer, but it's a little too large for my preference, so I'm going to be putting that one aside. Sydney Grace. This is a nice kind of spot setting brush, so I think I'm going to keep this one around just for a little bit longer and try it out further. Another angled brush. This is the 110 contour brush from Lethal Cosmetics. I do like it. I think I'm going to keep this one around for a little bit longer, but I feel like I have one contour brush and it is by far like my most favorite contour brush of all time, and it's from Sephora. And here it is, the Pro Angled Blush Brush, and it is number 49. This is really old. It's like a little bit wiggly here. It's breaking, but I've had this for, oh, I want to say like 10 years at this point, so there's no wonder that it's breaking apart. But I love this for contour or bronzer. I love that it's a little bit stiffer, so it really packs on. It's really my favorite one to use with the Fenty bronzer for sure, because that one is a bit harder pressed and takes quite a bit to build up, so I like using this brush for that. Definitely keeping. A random brush I got as a gift with purchase. I believe this was from a Look Healthy store, and this is a really nice blush brush, so I'm going to be keeping this one. Another Zoeva 105 powder brush. I've had this for quite some time, and it is a really nice face setting brush, so I'm going to keep this one also for a little bit longer. This is the Morphe M439 brush. I believe this is for foundation. It is not really my favorite brush for that, so I'm going to be decluttering this one. This is a Freck Beauty brush. I got sent this one in PR along with their kind of liquidy blushes. Come in the kind of little small pointy component, so I'm assuming that this brush was created to be used with that. It's a little bit too large for that. That being said, it's very similar to the Phytosurgeon's brush. It's actually a bit bigger, so I think I'm going to keep it around and just try it out. ColourPop F15, this is a foundation brush. I think it's okay, but I think I'm going to declutter. It's also a little bit loose. Refer B01, this is a great little brush for under eye concealer. Put it in the pile. And then this is the IT Cosmetics Heavenly Luxe Complexion Perfection All Over. This is the all over section, and this is the conceal section. And I remember there was so much hype around this brush, and I got it, and it's definitely worth the hype. It's great for under eye concealer here, and then this one for foundation. I think I'm going to keep this one around. Another Sydney Grace brush. I'm going to put this in the pile to continue trying because I don't really remember exactly loving it, but I kind of want to try it a little bit more. Another Morphe brush. This is the M101. I believe this came with their skin tint that I purchased from Sephora. I forget. It's like one of the newer ones. I've definitely never used it, so I'm going to be decluttering this one. I don't really see myself using that one anyway. And then this is a Florist brush. It's really nice and really soft. Should I try it out actually? I haven't tried this one yet. It seems like it might be really nice for blush, so I'm going to keep that one around for a bit longer. This is a Sigma x Samantha Concealer Blend Kabuki. It is way too large for concealer for me, so I'm going to be decluttering this one. Unfortunately, as much as I love that collab, there were some really great eyebrow shapes in that collection. This is another Alter Ego brush, and this one is great because it is very flat and it's pretty stiff, so it's really great for setting powder, so I'm keeping this one. This is a Milani brush. I believe I received this one in PR with their cream blushes and bronzers. I think I did use it with the bronzer, so let me put this in the pile to try. I feel like my to try pile is a lot bigger than my declutter pile so far. This is the F21 from ColourPop. I believe it came in a set. It's just too flimsy. I'm going to declutter that one. This is the Beautylish Yano series brush 06, and I remember this one being too large for my liking for my eyes. I was like, oh, I'm just going to use it as highlighter. I can probably count on one hand how many times I've used this for highlighter, so I'm going to be decluttering that one. And then here's the Spectrum B03 brush. And this one I'm definitely putting aside with the concealer brushes. And then another concealer brush It is actually even called Expert Concealer Brush from Real Techniques. Putting that one aside. This is Glossgods M09 brush for highlighter. I actually really like it. I think I'm going to put that one aside. I'm going to keep it that one. EO5 brush from Fantasy Cosmetica. I almost said Final Fantasy. I don't know why. And this is a brush for the eyes, but it is too large, so it has been defaulted to highlighter brushes as per usual. So you're probably going to be seeing a lot of larger eyeshadow blending brushes in here. Another Makeup Geek brush. This is for concealer. I actually really like this one. Maybe I should keep it. I'm just going to put it in the pile, and we'll talk about the concealer brushes like I said. This is a Karla Cosmetics 25 brush. And I think this was for eyeshadow, a little too large for that, but I do like it for highlighter. So I'm going to be keeping this one. This is a Her Mannerisms powder brush. And I'm actually not even sure if this brand exists anymore. This is a really, really great face setting brush. I've had this for such a long time, but I like that it's smaller and that it has the stiffness. 9, this one is a great stippling kind of brush for liquid blushes, so I'm definitely keeping this one. Another Blend Bunny face brush. I like that it's stiff and I like that it's a little larger, so I am going to be keeping this one. Another Karla Cosmetics brush. Ooh, I like how the handle is like a pink iridescent. This is number 10. I think this one went with their highlighter, so I'm going to keep this one as well. A couple more Lethal Cosmetics brushes. This is the bronzer brush. I do not use this. I'm going to declutter that one. This is a blending diffusing brush. It is too large, so it is a highlighter brush. And then the blush brush, I actually do like this one a lot. And then the highlighting fan brush, I do like this one as well. And then this one is a blending brush. It was too large, so I use it for under eye concealer, and I love it for that. So I'm going to be keeping pretty much all the rest of these except for the pile of the concealer brushes. Cindy Grace brush, I don't really have a use for this kind of shape, so I'm going to declutter this one. An Earthly A4 brush. It is a little too large for my liking for highlighters. I feel like I have already, the Wet n Wild one's kind of comparable, but I really only need one of those. This is a foundation brush from Refer. This is the 17 brush. I believe this one is, no, this one is not the synthetic one. They do have a synthetic one that just kind of launched within, I think it's this one. I think it's this one that's synthetic, the Beaute. So I'm going to be keeping both of these. This is probably my most favorite setting brush. It is from Furless. They unfortunately do not exist anymore, but they had some great brushes, and this is just, I mean, look at this. It's just great. Really just set you down. So I'm definitely keeping this one, even though it is a little loose, but I'll just glue it back. I've also had that one for like 10 years. 2 more Fantasy Cosmetica brushes. I think I use this one for highlighter, and I feel like, again, this one is just too flimsy. It's just not really something I use. So I'm going to declutter that one, but I'm going to keep this one around and put it in the pile to keep trying. And then another setting brush. This is from Blend Bunny Cosmetics. I do really like this one, so I'm keeping it. Sydney Grace. This one I think I use for under eye concealer. I'm going to put this one aside. Speaking of concealer, I also use this one for under eye concealer. Putting that one aside. And then this one, Spectrum KJH 10, putting aside as under eye concealer. Another Karla Cosmetics K22. This is a great highlighter brush. Spectrum times KJH brush. I think I'm going to put this one on Continue Trying. I think I use it sometimes with cream blushes and I like it. And then these 2 Spectrum brushes, I love these so much. I kind of use them interchangeably. I use this one with the Salt New York Taupe Contour like pretty much every day. And I love it for that because it is like pretty small, but it's dense. So it just really packs it on there and builds it up easily. And I sometimes use this one, cream blushes. So I'm definitely keeping both of these. Another Sigma and Samantha collab brush. And this one is a little too flimsy and I don't really care for the shape. So I'm going to be decluttering this one. This is a Clionadh Cosmetics Stained Glass Collection brush, and I do really like this one for setting, so I'm going to keep this one around. Another Bella Beaute bar brush, and I'm going to be decluttering that one. I don't really use that one at all. And then I have some Singe brushes. This is the F06, and I think I use this one for powder blush, which is really nice. It's definitely a little bit on the like really bendy side, like flimsy side of bristles, so you can really just go in very light-handed and you can really build up with this brush. So I'm going to be keeping this one. The F04, I honestly don't remember what I really use this for. I think I use it to set my under eye, and I might have at some point applied blush with it, so I'm going to put it aside to Continue Trying for sure. And then here's the F02 brush, great for under eye concealer. I'm going to put it in that pile. It is just a little bit too large for my under eyes personally. And then this is the F07. I think I use this for highlighter. I'm going to put this one aside to continue trying out. I don't really reach for it that much. The F03, I definitely very much enjoy this one. I have this one twice because it actually broke on me. So I purchased the new set of brushes right when they came out, and a couple of months later it came apart, but they did send me a replacement. So this brush is great for cream blush, powder blush, etc. I'm keeping both of them. I did just glue back the one that came apart, so now I have two. Then here's the T38 Esam brush, and I believe this was an eye brush that came free with the purchase. I think I purchased like some Viseart palette or something and it just came with it. And I love this for contour. It's just so flat and it really allows for building up and really like strategic placement. So I love that one. So I'm keeping that one. And then this is the Cine Grace brush. I think this was an eyeshadow blending brush. It's too large. And I'm not really a huge fan of their bristles, honestly. And then this is a Clionadh Cosmetics Stained Glass Collection brush. I like using this one for highlighter, so I'm keeping this one around. Another highlighter fan brush from Sigma in collaboration with Samantha, so I'm keeping this one. M06. I think I use this for highlighter, so I'm going to keep this one. I mean, how many more highlighter brushes do I need? Blend Bunny concealer brush in the pile. And then another sample brush. I think this is the same thing as the other one that I kept. Some more brushes here. This is the Unearthly Cosmetics UC8-1. Very interesting shape. I think I need to try this one out some more. Put it aside. Artiste concealer brush. In the concealer brush section it goes. And then here's another Immortals brush. And I think I'm going to keep this one around for a little bit more to keep trying. And then lastly are these two Singe Beauty F05 and F01 brushes. I think I prefer this one because it is a little bit stiffer, but I'm going to keep both of them around and I'm going to try them out some. Let's talk concealer brushes. I did put the Glam light back in here just to go through all of these. Oh my goodness. So are there any? I think I'm ready to let go of this one. I don't think it's that good. I think I'm going to let this one go as well. I don't love the bristles. I feel like some of these other bristles just work a bit better. Same with this one. I'm just going to declutter that one. I really want to keep these two for sure, and this one for sure, and this one. So there's 4 already. So I wonder if I really want to... I think I'm going to let this one go, and then I've had this one for a long time. I really do enjoy it. For also concealer, like if you're spot concealing something, I think I might let this one go, which was the Blend Bunny brush, but I'm going to keep this one because I do really like the shape of this one. And another angle, but I think I'm just going to keep the rest of these around. And, well, first of all, I'm going to wash them, but I'm going to keep the rest of these around and then probably end up eventually letting some go, but it's so hard. I love them all so much. And so let's get into my face brushes. I have them in this spinny thing that has 4 compartments, and I have them separated out as kind of like really small detail brushes slash eyeliner brushes slash etc, like really tiny detail little brushes, or like pencil brushes are in here. Then I have flat brushes for shimmer application and for eyeshadow primer. And then here are my natural hair brushes and like blending brushes. And here are the synthetic blending brushes. So let's go compartment by compartment. Here is a Bella Beaute bar brush. I believe this was in the same set as the other kind of flat brushes. I love the shape of this, but I don't really do like cut creases or anything like that anymore. So I don't really have a use for it. So I'm going to be decluttering that one. Then I have, let me just actually pull the refer brushes because I'm definitely keeping all the refer brushes. So here's all the refer brushes. So I have duplicates of a bunch of them, which is why there's so many. So I have like 3 of these, which I love very much. Then I have, I think 2 of these, and then like 3 of these again, and then the minis and the maxes as well, which I have a dedicated video on the minis and maxes with the comparison so you can see the difference. So I'm going to be keeping all of these, though the B03 I think is a little too large. I feel like this one is great for like really one and done swoop kind of eyeshadow, but I think for that I would just use my finger. but I'm gonna keep it around anyway for reference. I have these two Game Beauty brushes, the EO4 and the EO2, and this one is really great for cream eyeshadow or liquid eyeshadow. So I love using these with the Danessa Myricks color fixes or the eye paints from About Face because it is synthetic and it is pretty kind of large, so it covers a large area. If you just want to do an easy look, obviously this will not blend the product in the crease, but you can use another synthetic blending brush for that. And then this one, I really love this one. It's a little bit larger version of one of my favorite brushes from them. I believe that one is the EO5, which will be coming up later, but I love this one. Definitely keeping both of these. Are these Fantasy Cosmetica eye brushes, and I'm going to be keeping these around for sure for a bit longer. I haven't like fully tested them out yet. And I have these two Spectrum brushes, the A16, and I have two of these because I really like them for smaller detailed work. I don't use them that often, but I do like to have them around, so I'm going to be keeping these. This is a Blend Bunny flat brush. I like using this one to spread my eyeshadow primer, so I'm going to be keeping this one around. And I have this Lunar Beauty LBE5. I don't think they've made brushes since this one. My hands are covered in sparkles, but this one's okay. Honestly, I feel like the bristles are a little cheap. I feel like they kind of splayed pretty quickly. I'm going to be decluttering that one. I think this is the first eye brush I'm decluttering. Can I get a Beaute? This is the Devinah D107 brush, which is great for applying shimmer. I'm going to be keeping this one. That being said, I'm not the biggest fan of the bristles, but I think for a shimmer application brush, it's good. But I think with the blending brushes, I don't love the bristles on that one. This is the Karla Cosmetics 25 brush. I believe this one I was sent in PR. And this one is a great little teeny brush. I would definitely use this one for under eye eyeshadow, like extending my under eye eyeshadow. So I actually feel like I should put this one in with some of the other brushes. So I'm going to put this one aside to just like put it in the other compartment. Glam Shop 0113 brush. Really interesting. Definitely good for cut creases and stuff, which I don't really do anymore. I think I'm going to keep this one around for applying eyeshadow primer. A couple more kind of eyeshadow primer brushes. At least that's what I use them for here. I don't think I need all of these, so I think I'm gonna declutter the Bella Beaute bar one, and I think I'm gonna be keeping these two. I do use this one for shimmer sometimes. It has Odin's Eye Leon on here. You can totally tell that that's Leon. It's so funny. I'm gonna be keeping these. Next, I have these 3 cinch brushes, which are great for applying shimmer shadows. So I'm keeping all of these. 2 What's Up Beauty R110 and R106. These are just like a different size. This one is wider and thinner. This one has a little bit more like oomph and floof to it. And this one is very similar to one of the rougher ones. It's very similar to the 28 brush. This looks like one of the new Clionadh Cosmetics eyeshadows because it's got so many sparkles throughout it. I love that I can just recognize which shade is on what brush. This is a Dose of Colors brush that came with one of their like longer palettes. I think it was like a 5-pan palette. Oh my goodness, this is I've had this for so long. At this point, it's like really nostalgic, so I'm gonna be keeping that one. But I'm gonna put it in with some other brushes. Then I have this flat brush from ColourPop. I believe this one came in a set. I think the white handles were not in a set. I'm not 100% sure. Don't quote me on that. But this is a nice shimmer brush. I'm keeping that one. Spectrum times KJH 12 brush. I honestly don't really use this one. I'm going to declutter that one. Then I have this really small, really flat brush from ColourPop E20. I'm keeping that one. I think it was from a brush set. More Spectrum brushes. I think these are great. I think these would be great for cut creases for sure. And then this one is really great for shimmer. So I'm definitely keeping that one. As for these two, I'm not 100% sure how many times I actually realistically use them. I'm going to keep them. I'm going to put them in a pile of like I need to try a little bit more. Then here's the ColourPop E25 brush. I feel like I used to really love this brush, and now I feel like I'm a little bit like, eh. And then I also have the E18. I feel like these are a little bit similar, but this one is definitely a little bit more flat. I'm going to keep these around. Okay, I'm doing a horrible job decluttering. This is an AOA Studio E122 brush. I'm going to be decluttering that one. It's like kind of like a cut crease kind of brush. Another Lethal Cosmetics packing brush. I don't know if I love this shape. I think if anything, I would use this for underneath my lower lash line. I'm going to declutter that one. And then this is the shader lid brush E56 from Sigma. I used to love this brush for cutting the crease. But again, since I don't really do that much, I don't really reach for this one. So I think it's time to declutter that one. Another Devinah brush. I'm keeping this one for shimmer application. It is nice for that. And then a Morphe brush. This one is very kind of similar to the one I just decluttered from Sigma, but it's shorter, but it's pretty much almost the same. So I'm going to declutter that one as well. I don't remember last time I used that one. Another ColourPop E18. I think I already had an E18. I'm keeping that one. Love it for applying shimmers. This is a Hakuhodo brush. I think it's J004G. I'm going to keep this one. I do really like that one, and I really cling on to my Hakuhodo brushes because they are, I think, the first like really nice brushes that I purchased besides Wayne Goss, and I just fell in love with them. The shapes were amazing. The quality was amazing. This is another Devinah brush. I feel like I think I'm going to put the Devinah brushes aside. I feel like I don't really reach for them. I think these three are actually pretty similar to each other. Like, I'm not sure how much of a difference in application these will have. This one is longer, and they're all pretty much almost the same kind of flatness. And this one is kind of wide and short, but I don't know, they're pretty similar. I think I'm going to keep trying these out. BK Beauty 203 brush. I think this brush they claim is like the closest to a finger application of a brush. Nothing will ever be able to mimic a finger application. So I don't agree with that. That being said, it is a nice brush. I would probably use this when you're not trying to be very strategic with your placement of shimmer, because it is pretty fluffy and a little bit on the larger side, so it does kind of sweep really nice. And then this is the Clionadh Cosmetics DF03 brush. I think this one's a little bit too large, so I'm gonna put this one with my eyeshadow primer brushes. Clionadh Cosmetics UC 8-8, I think. This one is very similar to these brushes that I just decluttered. It's a little bit bigger, it's a little bit thicker. Very similar brush shape. I think I'm going to declutter that one. I don't really use it. Another Spectrum A16. I think I already showed like two earlier. I like that one. I'm going to keep it. This is an MSQ. I think these are from Amazon. I think it was pretty cheap. I think it was like maybe $5 or something. It might have been part of a set that was like maybe $25. But this is, I think this is a relatively nice brush, but I think I'm going to put this one aside. A Glam Shop brush 0100. This one it's interesting because it doesn't seem like it's really high quality bristles, because they are pretty prickly and they've definitely kind of broken off. I do suspect that this is a natural hair brush because of that. So I kind of have mixed feelings on it. I think it does a pretty decent job, especially picking up slightly textured shadows. But that being said, it does still have fallout because it does just have that like prickliness to it. I think I'm going to declutter this brush from the Beaute bar. It's very similar to some of the other brushes I just decluttered. Another Devinah brush, and I don't love this shape for shimmer shadow application, so I'm gonna put this one aside and try out a little bit more. Cindy Grace brush, and this one I think would be great for really specific application of shimmers under the lower lash line. Really great little brush, but I'm going to be decluttering that one. I feel like I have too many similar shades. This is an Ensley brush that apparently I have this one twice, but it has two different logos on it. Oh yeah, it is the same one, 8-5. And this is a really nice brush for applying shimmer, so I'm going to keep that one, or both of those rather. And then here's a Karla Cosmetics 21 brush, really great for applying shimmers. A little bit on the fluffier side, but I do still enjoy it. It's also a little bit larger. Another Karla Cosmetics, this is K20. And this one, I love this one for applying shimmer shadows. I think this is a great little shimmer shadow applying brush. Another Lethal Cosmetics, this is a shading brush. I don't think I really, I'm trying to remember when's the last time I used it. It has like pink eyeshadow on it, like iridescent eyeshadow. I'm gonna put this one aside so I can try it out a little bit further. Another Glam Shop brush, similar thoughts as the one I just talked about. I'm gonna keep this one around and test it a little bit more. Then a Jessup MUL 17 brush, similar to some of the others that I have decluttered, so I'm gonna declutter that one as well. This is such a great little flat, tiny brush from Beaute bar. Oh, I like this one a lot. I like that it's so small, but it has that point to it. I'm going to put this one aside. I'm going to think about it for a little bit longer. And then the Gimme Glow brush. This one is a cute one. I like using this one. It's kind of similar. Well, it's a little bit similar to one of my favorites from Game Beauty, so I'm going to be keeping this one, but it does belong in with the other brushes, so I'm going to put that one aside. A P. Louise brush, and I'm going to declutter this one. I think I have enough of those kinds of shapes. M11 Glossgods. This is a really interesting shape. I feel like this is more for application of concealer, so I think it should go with those, but I think I need to try it out a bit more before I decide if I want to keep it or not. Unearthly Cosmetics UC 8-4. This one's very similar to the ones that I just put in here. Was it this one? Okay, so those were 5 and this is 4, so it's even smaller. So I'm going to keep that one. The last of these brushes, this is About Face. I don't know if I would keep it with these brushes. I feel like this one is definitely great for liquid kind of products, but I haven't really tried it out. Another Hakuhodo J242. Love this one. Very similar to one of the refer ones. I think it was 03 or something like that. I think it's the 03 brush. I don't remember. And then a MAC brush. Ooh, this one is so old. This is the 242. I feel like this was like the brush to get. You had to get this one, especially if you wanted to do cut creases. And I do really like it. It's very similar to the Refer one that has like the same color bristles. So the 21 brush, it's literally the same thing. It's the same thing. Oh my god, it's the same thing. So anyways, if you missed out on these, I don't know if they make them anymore, then here you go, you gotta do. Next up is a Sonia G. This is a flat definer brush from Sonia G. I do really like this shape. I like that it's small and it feels really nice. I have decluttered most of my Sonia G brushes though, because I wasn't really a huge fan of the blending brushes. They were just too large for my liking personally. But let's move on to the blending brushes. Starting off with What's Up Beauty, because they're very easy to spot, that's for sure. The R102, love this one. R103 is a little bit larger for my liking. R109, R108, love this one. These two are really great. And then R105 and 104. This one is pretty large. Ooh, do I want to make this a highlighter brush? I think I will. And then these two are definitely a bit more on the larger side, but I do like to keep around some cleaner, fluffier brushes to just go over the edges. So I definitely want to keep at least like a couple of those around. So I'm going to put these aside because I don't want to have like too many of them floating around. As for the 109, I don't really use this kind of shape too much. Refer has something similar as well, and I just don't really reach for it a lot. I feel like there's a time and a place for this one, but honestly, I think I'm going to keep it for now, but I'm going to have to keep trying it out and see like if I kind of reach for it. So, but I'm definitely keeping these. These are very, very nice. They're similar to the Refer 13 and 14. Actually, let me just pull these in here. This is the Refer 13 and then the Refer 14. So they're basically the same thing essentially. I mean, they're almost identical, obviously with the handles being very different. These are all my Refer brushes. Listen, when I know I like a brush, I really like it, I'm definitely gonna get duplicates, and this is what you're kind of looking at. I probably have 3 or 4 sets of the 13 and 14, and then I do have 2 sets of the minis of the 13 and 14. And then this is the brush I was talking about that's kind of similar to this one. It's pretty much the same thing. It's literally the same thing. So it's kind of like, do I need both of these? I'm gonna put the Refer 12 along the side of that one to try out further, but there are a couple of brushes here that are a little bit too large, but like I said, I do like having some around to at least just have to blend around the edges with like no product or with setting powder. So like these two, this is the 16 and the 27. I wish they would come back out with these lacquered handles that taper down. I love these. They feel so much better, and also they take up so much less space when you're putting all your brushes together. So like these all together take up so much more space. And if they made these handles, I just much prefer the handles. And also, I don't love the matte finish on them, but that's a whole nother thing. So I'm going to put these aside with the What's Up Beauty brushes. And then actually same with this 15, a little bit too floofy for my personal taste. And then also this 15 Max. So these are all like the really, really large blending brushes. I will definitely be keeping them regardless. If they're not in my main brush collection, I'm going to be keeping them for reference like down the road just in case. So yeah, I have 13, 14, 15 in here. Minis, I don't think there's any, there's maybe, yeah, there's one Max left here. And I do have a dedicated video on my thoughts on the Refer 13 and 14 and showing them next to my eyes and some of the other brushes as well. So if you want to hear all my details, but I mean, I feel like this should tell you a lot. Actually, wait, there's 2 Hakuhodo brushes. So actually, speaking of Hakuhodo, I have kind of some other ones. They raised their prices, I think it was going into 2024, I don't remember, but they sent out like an email. And then I also have 2 Wayne Goss brushes, which these have started it all. When I tried these 2 brushes, which are literally the 13 and 14 from Refer, these changed my blending like completely 360. I feel like I just was so much better at eyeshadow application in general. This is the 19 and 20. I feel like in terms of quality of bristles, I feel like these are the same thing as Refer. I don't really feel like there's much difference, if any, but I've had these since they came out, so I've had those for a long time. And then these are the Hakuhodo. I can't remember if I got these before Wayne Goss. I think I got them pretty much within the same range. And there's also some brushes here that are very similar to the 13 and 14 and the 19 and 20 from Wayne Goss. So I think it's these ones. I think it's the J5529, I believe, and then this one 55, yeah. So these are the same actually. So this is the J5529, really great. I think this one is comparable to the 20 brush from Wayne Goss, and the I think the 13 brush was the 13 brush. Yeah, the 13 brush from Refer. And I'm keeping all of these. I mean, these are for sure staying. And then the J146, was it 146? Do I have two of them? Yeah, the J146 is pretty much the same as the 19 brush. It's a little bit smaller maybe. And the 14 brush, what is the 14? 14, not 14 mini, 14. So these are pretty much dupes. I think the Refer one is a bit more pointy though. There is one Hakuhodo brush. I've had this for so long. I mean, look at it. It's definitely looking like I've had it for a while. This is the J5523. I don't love this one. I like using this one to just like, again, go over the edges. So I'm going to put that one aside to there. And then kind of similar thing with B142. I'm going to put that one aside as well. But I'm definitely keeping all the rest. So here are some P. Louise blending brushes I have. I also have some synthetic ones. These are with the natural bristle brushes because I believe that these are natural hairs. The way that they just look, I can tell. And they have some really great smaller, like really detailed blending brushes. That being said, I don't think they're the greatest quality. I feel like they got pretty kind of a little bit prickly kind of right away after washing them a couple times. So I don't think I would be repurchasing these, but these are great. Two little brushes, 118 and 198. And then these other three are, this one's kind of like a little bit larger, but I will be keeping all of these. And then I have some more Glam Shop brushes. These are also natural hair, I believe. Just again, the way that they look and the way they feel. I think these are not the greatest quality. I would say this quality is even less than the P. Louise brushes I just talked about. And these got really prickly like right after the first wash. So not the biggest fan. But I do like to keep them around, but I'm not sure how much longer I will be even able to keep them around because I do feel like it's starting to interfere with just blending. I'm going to declutter this one 0118 or 0118. It looks like a O, not a 0. But I'm going to let this one go. And I will be keeping these for a little bit longer. And then this is, I think, my last blending brush from Zoeva. This is the 221. I remember when this was super, super hyped up. It's definitely a really nice brush. I think that this shape was compared to, I think it was a MAC brush or something like that. And I also have the mini booster from Sonia G, which is the only blending brush that has remained. I've tried a few other shapes, but this one is the only one that's really stuck around. I'm definitely keeping the Sonia G, but I'm not 100% sure. I think I'm going to keep this one in the testing pile just to test it out a little bit more and see if I really feel like reaching for that one because I do have some larger brushes. I just found one more Glam Shop brush and this one is nice, but again, it's just not, it's just a little bit too, I don't know, like a little bit scratchy, but I'm going to keep it around for a little bit longer and see like next couple of times I use it if I feel like I want to keep it around. So moving on to my synthetic blending brushes. These are all my Blend Bunny brushes. I think I have 2 sets. So there's brushes 1 through 5 and they range in shape and size. And I definitely apply eyeshadow a bit differently. I do prefer just a little bit more of like a fluffier brush that is smaller. And I feel like a lot of these are a little bit dense and stiff. So while I do enjoy them, I do not use them the same way as they were intended to use. I really love the B2 and also the B3 because these are great for even just like underneath the lower lash line. And because they are so dense and they are smaller, they pick up a lot of product and put down a lot of product. So they are great for the outer corners, which is what I prefer to use them for. So definitely keeping all of these. The only shapes here that I think I use a bit less would be B5. It is just a little bit getting to the larger size, but I'm still keeping all of these. And one set was sent to me in PR and the other set I purchased. And then moving on to Fantasy Cosmetica, I think I only have one in here. And this is the EO2. This is a really great small blending brush. Oh my gosh, I love this kind of shape. So definitely keeping that one. Here are all of my Sigma eye brushes. And some of them were sent to me in PR. And some of them are the Samantha and Sigma collab that I purchased myself. And then some of the others I purchased myself prior to that. There's definitely some shapes in here that I prefer more than others. I wish they would bring back these shapes from the collab with Samantha because I think that these were really standouts because they were smaller and I don't feel like Sigma has enough smaller blending brushes in my opinion. So this one right here is a tapered blending. I definitely received this one in PR and this one is just way too large for me, so I'm going to be decluttering that one. And then another collab with Samantha. This one right here is great blending, really great smaller blending brush, and it's actually almost the same as the E42. It's actually, no, it's about the same. I was going to say this one's maybe a little bit more pointy, but I think they're pretty much the same. They're both great blending brushes. And then here's the E33 brush. And this one is, I think because it is a little bit skinnier and it's a little bit fluffed out, I feel like I'm going to put that one aside to continue trying because I'm not sure I'm fully sold on that one. As for the E27 brush, this one is interesting because I think I use it in a different way. So I like to have this kind of brush around because I like to, if I want to put a matte all over the lid, I like to use this kind of brush to pat the matte eyeshadow down. Actually, I wonder how this one would be for shimmer application. It might be a little bit too floofed out here because it is supposed to be a blending brush, but I actually wonder, keeping that one. And then the E36, this is a great little detail blending brush. Would love to see more like that from them. Another E42, really like that one. E25, so this is a larger version of this one essentially. I don't really use this one a lot. I'm going to put that one aside to try out further. And then the E54 medium sweeper. This is a really interesting brush. I wish it was just a tad bit smaller, but this one is great for the outer corner. I'm going to be keeping that one around. And then the small tapered blending. Just something about this one, I'm not a huge fan. It's a little too kind of pointy, and I just don't feel like I really reach for this one. And then I have another E27. So do I want to maybe declutter this one? I think I'm going to declutter that one. I don't remember the last time or if I've even used that brush. Thought I had a couple more Spectrum brushes, so maybe I'm not seeing them in the pile over there anymore, but I have the B11, A12, and B10. I do have a dedicated video I did, I want to say at least at this point, a couple of years ago, where I talked about the Spectrum brushes I have, and these are the ones that I decided to keep. So they have pretty different shapes to them. So this one is a very kind of splayed out at the end and dome shaped and almost flat. So this one you're gonna get a bit more of a wash of color rather than with something like this. Like these are going to apply eyeshadow totally differently, blend it out totally differently. And then this one is basically like a smaller, stiffer version of this one. I'm keeping all of these. 3 Unearthly Cosmetics brushes, and these two are actually the same, and then this one is the different one. I do like these a lot, but I don't really reach for them. I actually think I'm gonna put this one in with some of the other brushes in the other compartment that I use with the like smaller detail brushes. As for these two, I definitely feel like I need to try them out some more. I don't really remember absolutely like loving these. So I feel like I need to try them out some more. Spectrum times KJH blending brushes. So this is the 11 brush, and I like using this one to pack on matte eyeshadow all over the lid or with cream products like liquid eyeshadows because it is so large that it covers a large area. So I don't know if I should keep this in with my eye brushes. I think I'm going to put this in with my like concealer slash eyeshadow primer brushes. And then these next 3 are pretty distinctly different brush shape, and I do really like all of these. I mostly enjoy the 17. I really wish they would bring some of these shapes back because I'm pretty sure that these were limited edition only with this collab. Next I have a couple of Sydney Grace brushes. I think there's just 2 in here, and I definitely feel like I need to try this one out a bit more, so I'm going to put that one aside. And then this brush actually belongs to the other bunch of brushes that I'm about to get into after these. So then I have some more P. Louise brushes, and actually I think this one is a natural hair brush, and I think it's a little too floofy. I think I'm going to declutter that one. And then these are just really nice, great smaller brushes. I feel like this one's a natural hair brush. I'm going to put it in with the natural hair brushes. And then the rest of these I'm pretty sure are all synthetic. So this one is very flimsy, and when I say flimsy, I don't not mean it in a bad way. I just can't think of another word to describe it in this moment. It's going to give you kind of like a watercolor effect, and that will be the case for most of these, as most of these are pretty bendy and not really like too dense. But these are great detail brushes. Game Beauty brushes, these I was sent in PR. I definitely think I can declutter these two. I don't see myself really using these, and I think I want to keep this one around for a little bit longer and test it out. Next up are these Singe Beauty brushes, and this one is a little bit too large for blending eyeshadow, and it's also, the bristles are really long and they're not really densely packed, so it is again flimsy, so it's gonna give you just like a really light blend. This one would be great for blending around the edges, but I think I'm gonna make this one a highlighter brush. As for the EO6, it's not really a brush shape that I use very often. So I'm going to put this one aside to continue trying out a little bit further. And then the EO2 and EO5 I think are my favorites. Specifically EO5 really is a standout here for me because it is so teeny tiny, and they are both kind of domed shape, but the dome shape is a little bit more exaggerated on the EO2, and the EO5 is a little bit stiffer as well. I'm going to be keeping both of these. Oh yeah, here's my other spectrum brushes. So these are basically duplicates of the previous ones, I believe, except they have a different handle color and bristle color, so I'm keeping these. One more Sigma brush, E42. This is another duplicate. When I like a brush, I like a brush, so I'm going to keep this one around. E26 from ColourPop. This one actually belongs with the Shimmer shadow application brushes, so I'm going to be putting it into that compartment. Next I have these three brushes that are all the same shape, and I got these as a gift with purchase, I believe from an order from Look Healthy store. I do really like these. I think they're nice and small and dense, and I think they're really nice. The bristles feel really nice and soft, and these are just cute little brushes. I have this one Cosette brush. I feel like I have another Cosette brush. Maybe not. Maybe this is the only one. This one is a great detail brush, however it is flimsy, flares out and is tapered here, so it makes it just really flimsy, but I think I will be keeping this one around a little bit longer. Next is the Gimme Glow G327 brush, and I do not like the quality of this one. I'm going to be decluttering that one. Here's another Cosette brush. This is S185, another great detail brush which has a little bit more give to it. Another P. Louise brush. This is the what number is this? 117 brush, great smaller detail brush. Next up is this smaller brush from MSQ. I believe I got this one on Amazon, and I think this one is a little bit similar to some of the other brushes that I just talked about that are a little bit flimsy, a little bit similar to I think one of the ones from P. Louise. I think I'm going to keep this one around. More Glam Shop brushes. I think I'm going to be decluttering this one, the 106. It is I don't love the quality. It's a little bit prickly, and I feel like I have better quality brushes that are similar shape. And then these two, I actually think these might be natural hair brushes, but 127 and 122. These are kind of similar thoughts, generally speaking, with Glam Shop brushes, where I feel like they don't really wash well, and they end up feeling just like harsher and harsher as you wash them. But I will keep these around for a little bit longer until they are unusable, because I do like Makeup Shack brushes. Can you tell I like the T63 brush? I did a dedicated video on my Makeup Shack brushes. I feel like this brand used to be very hyped up back, you know, I want to say at least 6-7 years at this point, but I hardly ever hear anything about them since then. But I do love these T63 brushes. They're such great little detailed brushes, so that is why I have 5 of them. And then the T9, I have decluttered a bunch of the other Makeup Shack brushes just because I really just wanted these shapes. So I do really like this one. I think I'm gonna keep this one around. I like this one for putting down a matte in the crease. Clionadh Cosmetics DF02. This is just a little bit too large for my liking, so I'm going to be decluttering that one. And then 2 Devinah brushes, D104 and D106. And I definitely prefer this one. I wasn't the biggest fan of the quality of these bristles. They just felt a little bit kind of pokey and almost like dry. There's a lot of pull when you use these, and I feel like because they are a little bit prickly at the end, they almost tend to wipe away eyeshadow. So I think I'm gonna declutter this one, the D109, but I'm gonna keep this one around and see how I continue to like it or not. Define Crease brush from Makeup Geek. I am keeping this one. This is a brush from About Face that they sent in PR, some of their eye paints, and I think this brush is meant to be used with the eye paints. So I think I'm actually going to put this in with the other brushes because I don't think it really belongs in the blending brushes. I would not be blending with it. This is the Lethal Cosmetics 220 pencil brush, really great small detail brush. However, I don't know if I want to keep it in with these. I feel like it belongs with the pencil brushes, so I'm putting that one aside but keeping it. Then here's the Glossgods M04 brush, really nice and small and tiny and detailed, keeping that one. Another About Face brush. This one's such an interesting shape. It's got almost like a triangular shape to it, and I don't love the bristles on this. They feel really similar to the texture of the brushes from Devinah, but they just feel a little bit scratchy. I think I'm going to put this one aside to try out a little bit more. BK Beauty 205 brush. This is a kind of angled brush. I think this one would be good for the outer corner. I don't really reach for it too much because it is a little bit larger. Actually, it reminds me of another brush we had just talked about that I can't remember where it was from. But I think I'm going to keep this one around just to try out a little bit more, but I'm not like completely in love with it. Before I move on to the last set of brushes, let's talk about these larger, floofier brushes. So I think, yeah, these are just way too large. I think I'm going to make some of these highlighter brushes, like these two refer brushes, 27 and 15 max. And I think I'm going to be decluttering this one, What's Up Beauty. I just don't see myself really using that one a lot. And then this one, okay, so I'm going to keep some of these. Okay, this one's a little too large. I think I'm going to keep the rest of 4 of these to use to keep these clean and just use them to further feather out the outer edges. So keeping these, and then keeping these even regardless because they are refer brushes and I want to have them for reference. Moving on to the last set of brushes I have that I have kind of grouped together what I like to use them for. So this is the Spectrum KJH09 brush, and actually let me just pull out all of the Spectrum brushes at the same time. So I also have the 18 and the 16 and the 21. I love these tiny little pencil brushes, definitely keeping these, but I honestly never reach for these, so I'm going to be decluttering those. What's Up Beauty brushes, I love all of these, so I'm definitely keeping all of these. These two are great for inner corner highlight under the connecting the lower lash line with the outer corner. I love these so much. This is just a really great smaller detail brush. I believe these are pretty much the same thing as the refer brushes. I know I have a refer brush like this one for sure. I just can't spot it right now. But I'm keeping all of these. These are some of my eyeliner brushes. These are from Cut Creaser by Mellow Lobs collaboration. These are great for doing those kind of longer lines, like above your crease or something. And I really like these, but I feel like they're definitely kind of harder to keep them nice and frayed. And also I don't love this collapsing of this. It's kind of annoying. Like it will just randomly, even if you really pull it out, it will just randomly collapse, and it's just a little bit irritating. But I think I'm going to keep these around, but actually I don't really like this one at all. I don't really like this one, so I think I'm not gonna keep that one around. But I think, no, not this one either. I think I'm going to only keep these two. Another furless brush, so I only have 2 furless brushes. This actually, it's completely wiped off here, but I love using this for the inner corner highlight, so I'm keeping that. Fantasy Cosmetica brushes, the EO1. I believe this is a lip brush. I think I'm going to keep this one around. And then this one is very interesting. I think I'm going to make this one a highlighter brush. I tried using it for eyeshadow, and it's too large for me to use for eyeshadow. I have a couple of spoolies. I'm keeping those. Rosen Ben E27 brush, a really, really interesting shape. Love this one so much. Definitely keeping this one. 3 Game Beauty brushes. So kind of an eyeliner brush, a pencil brush, and then I'm not sure what this one is. It's kind of like a really mini tiny shader, but I love using this one to create eyeshadow wings and to connect lower lash line. It's just so small and detailed. I love it so much. I plan on, if they have a sale, I'm probably gonna get like 3 or 4 more of these because I love them so much, so I'm keeping all of these. Here's all the refer brushes. This is the one I was talking about in comparison to the What's Up Beauty one. Pretty much almost the same. It's actually a little bit wider and shorter than the What's Up Beauty, and I really enjoy all of these. I think they're really great smaller size options here, with the exception of this one. I think I really only use this one for an inner corner highlight or something like that. This one actually should be with the Shimmer shadow brushes, so I'm gonna put it in there, but I'm keeping all of these. Clionadh Cosmetics DF04 and 05, great little tiny brushes. I think this one is again for lips. I think this one is actually similar to this Game Beauty one. It's actually a little bit wider and not as pointy, but I am keeping both of those. Here are my silicone tip applicators. I recently bought a set from Bella Beauty Bar. They have a great little set with varying shapes and sizes. Highly recommend getting yourself at least 1 silicone tip applicator. It's just really useful to have, especially if you use gel or cream eyeshadows. And I thought it was really interesting because the Bella Beauty Bar set had also an eyeliner version of it, so I am dying to use this, and I really want to try this out and use it, so I'm definitely keeping this one. Some of these other shapes I kind of prefer more than others. I think I have one more, and it has a sponge on the other side, so I'm keeping all of these. For someone who barely ever does eyeliner, like specifically using these kinds of brushes or my other kind of eyeliner brushes, I sure have a lot of eyeliner brushes, so definitely need to declutter a bunch of these because I just do not use these like ever. So first up to go is Jessup MUL 20. I just generally speaking don't like when they are like this. Just something about this just doesn't work for me and my preference. Same thing with this Unearthly Cosmetics liner brush. I'm going to be decluttering that one. I think this is where I'm going to declutter the most eye brushes for sure. Where's this one from? Oh, this is from Trixie Beauty. They sent us in PR when they sent over some of their eye paints. I think I'm going to keep these because they're new and they're really nice quality. Oh my gosh, what is this brand? I can't think of what this brand is. I cannot remember this brand, but I think I'm going to keep those. I'm going to declutter this Suva Beauty one. And then this Bella Beaute bar one as well. And then I think I'm going to keep this as Glossgods 01. And then let's see from these. Then I have this one from Lethal Cosmetics. I'm keeping that one. I do like it. It's not really, it's a little bit thicker, but there's like specific things that I want to keep it around for. And then all of these, I think the Bella Beaute bar, I'm going to wash this one and see, but I feel like it might be a little bit too gone now. So I'm going to keep, oh my goodness, do I really need to keep all of these? I think I'm going to declutter this one, and I don't know about these two, honestly. I think I need to try them out some more and then I'll make a decision. So I kind of have a couple put aside, but I have decluttered like 5. More eyeliner brushes. So these are a different type of eyeliner brush. The angled, really slim kind of brushes. This one has a spoolie on the other side. This is the Spectrum brush. Oh, I don't know. I'm definitely keeping the winged liner brush from Sigma. I do really like those a lot. So I have 3 of them, so I must really, really like it. And then there's also the Samantha one. I think it's the same thing. It actually looks a little bit different shape, which is interesting. I'm going to keep all of these. However, oh my gosh, there's just too many. I think these 2 were a gift with purchase from Look Healthy store. I think I'm going to declutter these 2. And then I think I'm going to declutter this Blend Bunny one, but I'm going to keep this Blend Bunny one, which this one is like super, super small. And then I just have all these little angled brushes. I think I'm going to keep this one, the Spectrum one. But I think these are, I don't know if I necessarily need all of these. They're pretty much the same thing. I'm going to declutter the Unearthly one for sure. Let's see. Do I want to keep any of these? How many have I kept so far? I have kept like 4. So, but these are a little bit larger, so it's really about size. I can't believe that I'm over here. Like, I can't decide between these angled brushes. Just kidding. There is one more brush. This one is from Trixie Beauty. So, I don't know what to do. They're literally the same thing. So I think I'm going to declutter. I feel like I have to try these now. I'm going to declutter the Lethal Cosmetics one. And I think I'm going to keep the Sigma Beauty one. And I'm going to keep the Trixie one just to try out because it is new to me. I haven't even used it yet. And then I'm going to declutter the Jessup one. I have another kind of angled, interesting shaped brush from Trixie Beauty. Keeping that one. 3 Devinah brushes. I do like the brush shapes of all of these, so I'm going to keep these. Clionadh Cosmetics Stained Glass Collection brush. Oh, I don't know. I think I'm going to keep this one. AOA F16. I'm going to declutter this one. Then I have 2, yeah, these are the last 2 About Face brushes. These are very interesting shapes. I don't know how much I'm really going to use this one, but I do want to keep trying it out before I decide, so I'm going to keep that one as well. Morphe Y21. Ooh, I think I'm gonna keep this one as well. BK Beauty 204 Great Underneath the Lower Lash Line brush. I'm keeping that one. ColourPop E27. This is a great brush. I feel like I can do a couple of different things with this one. So connect the lower lash line, create an eyeshadow wing, and also use this for shimmer application. So I'm actually going to put it in with the shimmer brushes. Bdellium 731. This one is meant for mascara, so you can really like distribute the mascara evenly, especially on your lower lashes. I don't know if that's really my thing. I've tried it and I just feel like that's just a little extra, too much extra work for me personally. Oh, I have another Devinah brush here. It's actually a really small kind of blending brush. I feel like I should put this one with the blending brushes, but I'm keeping that one. Lethal Cosmetics 230 Detail Brush. I don't know if I want to keep that one. I feel like I have very similar brushes that I kept, so I'm going to declutter that one. And then Karla Cosmetics and ColourPop. I'm going to declutter this ColourPop one because I have too many of these shapes. And then the K24. This is a cute little pencil brush. I'm going to keep that one. Sigma brushes, smudger brush, and pencil brush. I feel like this is a little too large now. I think I prefer some of my other pencil brushes that I'm keeping from What's Up Beauty and Refer. So I'm gonna declutter that one, and then I'm definitely keeping this one. I love these little smaller smudge brushes a lot. For example, like this one from Jessup. It's very similar, very cute and small. Another Samantha and Sigma collab brush. So this one is smaller than the other pencil brush. Yeah. So I'm going to keep this one. Pop brush, I believe I just decluttered one just like that, so I'm going to be decluttering that one. Pencil brush from Unearthly Cosmetics. I think I'm going to keep this one around. There's some brushes that I like to have a few around. BH Cosmetics. Oh my gosh, this handle is so dirty. I think I'm going to declutter that one. And then I have two Hakuhodo brushes. I absolutely love these. Unfortunately, this one has the name wiped off completely. I believe this one is B5511. And I really like both of these. This one is a little bit harsh, however, so I do prefer this one, but I'm keeping both of them. And we have made it to the end of the pile, complete pile of brushes in general. 226 smudger brush. Great for under the lower lash line, connecting the lower lash line. Samantha and Sigma brush. This one's similar to a lot of the brushes I decluttered. Oh, I think I'm going to keep this one around though. And then a Lunar Beauty LBE 6 brush. Really cute little, almost pencil brush, but not quite a pencil brush. It's kind of like a super, super small, dense blending brush. And then this pencil brush is so great. I bought this from YesStyle. I randomly just threw it in my cart once, and I love it. So I'm keeping that one. I love it for eyeshadow wings under the lower lash line. It's just a great overall general brush. Lados S5, it's actually almost the same. It's basically the same thing as a Lunar Beauty brush. Isn't that funny? It's literally the same, except this one looks like it's natural hair bristles. And then another Lunar Beauty. This is a smaller brush. This one, I feel like the Lunar Beauty brushes, they are definitely a little bit on the prickly side, but I'm keeping all of these. So these are all the brushes I put aside to try out to see if I would like to keep them or declutter them. So there's probably at least 20 here, I want to say. So let me just go through these. I did film this in 2 sections. So the face brushes I filmed yesterday, so I feel like I kind of slept on it. So let me just see if my thoughts have changed since yesterday. So Freck Beauty, I will be definitely trying this one out since it is relatively new to me. Milani F220, also new, so I'm keeping that one. I'm going to be keeping the Immortals. But I'm going to let go of the Sydney Grace one. It's a little too, I want a little bit more like kind of density here. So I'm going to declutter that one. I do like this one for blushes, so I think I'm going to keep that one and put it aside. I don't think I love this one for foundation, so I'm going to declutter that one. Let's see, the Immortals brush. I'm going to keep trying this one, but I feel like I might like it for under eye concealer. Jessup, I think I'm going to let this one go. I have kept enough under eye concealer brushes at this point. This one is a really cute little brush. I think I'm going to keep this one aside to definitely continue trying. I think I'm going to let this one go, the Florist brush. I haven't even used it, but I just feel like I already kind of know what I like, and I don't even want to dirty it up. The Singe Beauty brush is definitely going to keep these around to try out some more. Real Techniques brush, I think maybe it would be good for blush, like liquid. I think I'm going to keep this one around a little bit longer. I think I'm going to let this one, I do like that this one's a little bit stiffer, so I'm going to keep this one to try out further. The Sydney Grace brush, I think I can let this one, would it be good for cream blushes? Let me try it with cream blushes. It's like you either default brushes for blush or for highlighter, really. And then definitely continuing to try this one. I feel like I don't know if I will get any use out of this specific shape, so I'm going to declutter that one. Spectrum times KJH. I think I'm going to declutter this one. I don't really see myself using that one. I think I'm going to declutter this one as well. The 07, which was in the collab. And then I feel like I kept a actually similar brush to this one. So we're left with eye brushes that I literally just decluttered like 10 minutes ago. So let's see. I just feel like I need to go through these eyeliner brushes. But again, I don't really do eyeliner much. So it just doesn't make sense for me to keep all of these. I think I'm going to keep the About Face, but I'm going to declutter these two. And I'm also going to keep this one to try it out further. And then as for the rest of these, I think I'm going to keep this one, the Glossgods one. And I'm going to declutter, I think I'm going to declutter this one. The Bella Beaute Bar Angled Brush. I'm going to keep this Glam Shop brush and I'm going to use it to apply shimmers. Okay, so here's the brushes I'm left with. I think I'm good with these to continue trying out. I do kind of remember not loving this one because it was a little bit stiff and it was a little bit draggy, so I'm going to declutter that one as well. So I think the rest of these I'm going to keep around to try out further. Yes, that is a final decision, so let me add up all the brushes I've decluttered. I have decluttered 96 brushes, and I still feel like I have a lot. So I will be definitely doing another brush declutter at the end of this year. And I think I'm gonna really try to focus for the next 6 months to just see which ones I really, really reach for, and maybe keep it a little bit more curated. But for me personally, curated still means like having 20 blending brushes, just because that's the kind of person I am, and just because I like to have a variety of brushes, because I feel like some brushes have very specific usages that I like to have them around for. And I will try out my now smaller pile of brushes to continue trying to make a decision on. So it's probably gonna end up being around maybe 100 brushes that I have decluttered, but I have a little bit more space so I can spread some of the other face brushes out, which I'm really excited about. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, and thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you next time.